Can you just kind of walk us through how things have fallen apart between Pete Hegseth and Anthropic over the last 10 days or so?
Absolutely. So it all really starts back on January 9th when Hegseth sent a memo saying, you know what, I want to renegotiate all of our existing AI contracts to be for any lawful use. So before, AI companies could and did put their own terms into these contracts. Like you can't use it for this. If you're going to use it for this, you have to do X, Y, and Z. He was saying, no, I want to take all that out and just remove all the barriers. So, obviously that kicked off a bunch of negotiations. Now, apparently, my sources told me they were in pretty good faith for a while. Then, up and about 10 days ago, like you said, things seemed to turn pretty ugly. I think that negotiations had stalled a bit. Emil Michael had been tweeting a lot of stuff. There were a lot of public social media posts kind of being traded back and forth. There were public statements being traded back and forth, lots of insults. Things were getting more inflammatory. Anthropic was standing by its guns where it said, hey, we're not okay with domestic mass surveillance and we're not okay with lethal autonomous weapons, which basically means AI being used to kill people with no human oversight. So those were their two red lines. They were like, we're not budging on these two things. That was already in our existing contract with you guys. So let's just keep it the same, or let's try to find a compromise here. It seemed that the Pentagon really wanted any lawful use and they were not okay with any, type of exception to that. So 5 p.m. rolled around, the deadline that they had been offered to either acquiesce or else. And then a social media post went out saying that they were going to be labeled a supply chain risk, which it's strange because that's something that usually they would never label a US company. So it was an interesting thing. It raised a lot of red flags.